Here I am. You've been waiting for me all day long, and I'm here. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you. So there's that sporty thing coming up, and everybody likes to eat during sporty things. So I decided to put together, I was looking for 5, but I actually have 6 recipes for you, which should be plenty to feed a whole bunch of people. But because Stephen and I didn't want to have all this food for just ourselves, we got a couple friends coming over a little bit later. So, the first thing I'm going to show you is my meatball recipe. Now, my meatball recipe and my meatloaf recipe are pretty much the same thing, except for the meatballs, I just put those together in a little ball rather than in a big loaf. Simple, right? Okay, so the first thing we do, I'm taking like a half a pound of ground chicken and a half a pound of ground beef. Okay, to that I add barbecue sauce, mustard, panko breadcrumbs, and a couple tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm going to dump that on the meat. I am also going to swing in there some Worcestershire sauce. Say that 10 times fast. Just a couple squirts, so that's maybe 2 tablespoons. And an egg. That looks pretty yummy already, right? Well, there's one thing else that I like to put into, I'm going to mix this up a little bit. There's one more thing that I like to put into meatloaf and into meatballs, and that's some grated vegetables. Makes them a little bit lighter with grated vegetables in it, and also makes them much, much moister. So I want to mix my meat with my egg and seasoning to make sure that I don't have any chunks of meat stuck in anywhere. I want everything all broken up and mixed together, and then I can mix in the vegetables. This also makes sure your egg's all broken up and ready to go. Hi! So, oh, and how can I forget? A little salt and a little pepper. So, a little kosher salt. And a little pepper. Okay? There we go. Okay. Now, I've got celery and I've got carrot all grated up. And because later on I'm doing a dish with mushroom caps, I chopped up all the mushroom stems so that they are in here as well, and I didn't want to throw the stems out. So I'm going to dump the vegetables in here. There we go. And I'm going to mix all this up. So it's almost half vegetables, half meat for my meatballs. But like I say, it lightens them up. It's not like you're getting a big chunk of heavy meat for your meatball. It lightens them up, and I always like to think it makes them healthier since there's vegetables in there. Also, it just makes the consistency nice, makes them very moist. A friend of mine, Tina Warden, was the one that I first saw putting vegetables in her meatloaf. And so that was it from then on. Put all kinds of vegetables in the meatloaf. So like I say, onion, celery, and the mushrooms. Now, a lot of times, I'll actually shred up a potato and put it in here, but since I'm making another potato dish, goodbye. Since I'm making another potato dish, I didn't want to have potatoes in here and potatoes in there. Make sense? Okay, that is all mixed together. And you can still see the carrots hanging out. You can still see all the vegetables and identify them. but the breadcrumbs and the egg are going to help hold everything together. So, okay. I have my oven preheating at 400, but I'm going to turn it, or 450, but I'm going to turn it down to about 375. I'm going to start these on the stove and get them browned around a little bit, then put them in the oven to finish off. I got too much going on to do everything stovetop, so I'm going to get things started on the stove and then put in. So in my pan, I had actually done some sausage for another recipe that I'm going to be doing. So I've got a little bit of the sausage fat in there, and I put in a little bit of butter too to fry these in. So I want to get this warmed up a bit again. I'm actually re-seasoning a couple pans right now. And because I want these easy to poke with a toothpick to eat them, I am going to do them fairly small. I don't want them to be these huge things that people are fighting over to eat. Okay. So it's about that's a teaspoon. I mean, a spoon that you would drink with tea, not a measuring teaspoon. Get in. So bear with me while I make all my meatballs. And like I say, I'm just going to get these started and browned. And then I'm going to flip them over and put them in the oven. You get a treat because in the oven I'm seasoning some cast iron. Every once in a while, the pans that I use a lot, if anything's starting to stick, I re-season them a little bit. Here we go. And actually, I may not turn these over and over and brown them on all sides. I may just get them in the oven and let the oven do its thing, so that I can go on to the next recipe. How y'all doing out there? Hi, Samantha! Is everybody having fun today? I know a lot of people are really busy about town today. A lot of excitement in the news. But I'm still cooking. And I'm still having people over. Life is going on. We love you too. Maybe we'll make a trip through Indianapolis sometime. Actually headed to Illinois for a quick trip in April. So maybe that would work out. Is Jess there too? Hi, Jess. It's kind of boring watching somebody put meatballs together, isn't it? I think I might need 2 pans for my meatballs. What I like to do when the meatballs are all done is just dribble a little barbecue sauce on top of them as well. Or whatever flavor you're feeling like. You could make like a sweet and sour sauce. Just some ketchup. You know, make them simple. What's that, baby girl? Hello, Mr. Champagne. Shout out to baby girl. She might be working today. I don't know. I told Stephen when I was done cooking, I'll just put a shout out and whoever wants to come over and eat could come over and eat. And he thought maybe that might attract more people than we can hold at the moment. So we just invited a couple others friends over. Okay. So, I have more meatballs than what I'm going to put in my pan. Which means I just grab another pan. I say, I'm still here. I'm seasoning a couple pans today, so I'm going to pull out one of those pans. Throw this one in here. And we're going to turn the heat down. I'm not going to burn myself. Promise. There. Turn that down. Add a little butter to it. Oh, that's hot. Again, just a couple tablespoons of butter. A lot of times, like I said, we use turkey, maybe turkey and chicken or turkey and pork or something, you know, meat that's on the leaner side. But I do like to have a little beef every once in a while. Stephen's not a big fan of beef. I mean, he'll eat it. It's not that he's not a fan, but we try to stick with chicken and turkey and some pork once in a while rather than doing a lot of red meat. I'm glad I had this pan hot and in the oven and ready to go. The other nice thing is, this will probably be plenty for us to eat for lunch tomorrow after church. I was thinking I should do a couple shows on foods that do good for lunches throughout the week, and on Saturdays I could make our lunches for the entire week. And then there's no temptations at eating other people's food in restaurants and places. Fast food, whatever. I do bad sometimes. Excuse me a moment, that's our familiar ring. Pardon me another moment while I run upstairs on top of the stairs and take care of the smoke alarm. Here I come! Always fun to have guests over after you set off the smoke alarms. And get the dogs excited. Okay. Just a few more. Get these in the oven. And then we're going to move on to another recipe, which I've never made before. So it's my own invention as it comes up. I'll show you these in just a minute. See? You can still see vegetables and stuff. And celery, I throw the celery leaves in there too. I don't boycott celery leaves when I got a stalk of celery. My hope is that this stuff will bake long enough in the oven that I can show you. I'm pretty much thinking with 6 recipes today, this should be pretty close to done, all at the same time if I timed everything out right. Just making some more room. There. Okay. Let me wash the meat crud off my hands and then we'll be moving right along. Nothing better than cooking with shell. Yeah, that smoke alarm gets me every once in a while. It's not because my food's burning, it's because I was seasoning cast iron pans in my oven. Alrighty. So. Reminds me not to touch this pan. And there's the meatballs. Turn the fire off. The next thing I'm going to do is a potato nacho. Thinly sliced potatoes. Now let me tell you, I'm not a big fan of the mandolin. I took the tips off of 2 fingers with a mandolin once. So I'm not a fan, but when I want things cut thin, it really is one of the best ways. So I'm going to take a little bit of butter. This pan isn't warmed up. This is my casserole. See? And I'm going to smear that butter all over the inside of that casserole. Sides and the bottom. Okay? There we go. There, whole thing's coated. All right. Now, I sliced my potatoes, and you can see how thin they are. Okay. They've been soaking in water so they didn't turn brown while we were waiting. With just a hint of lemon juice. Okay. Again, I've never made this before, so I'm playing with my food. So I'm going to put a layer of these potatoes on the bottom. All across the bottom. And on the sides. This may not be so fingery as I thought it would be. There. Pan is all lined. Now, sprinkle some chopped onions on them. I'm going to add another layer. Oh, chopped onions, salt and pepper. Just sprinkle some salt on top. Get a little pepper. There we go. I like making up recipes. Do you just make stuff up at home as you go? I do. So then another layer. Now, if they were legitimately nachos, of course, you would have to toast all these things up ahead of time and cook them. But not me and not this time. Some more onions. If I was really adventurous, onions, black olives, you know, whatever your favorite kind of nacho kind of stuff is. Jalapenos. Why didn't I think of the jalapenos? Because I got some jalapenos. The reason that I'm kind of putting the onions in there so much is to keep the layers of potatoes from sticking to each other and just having a big swamp of potatoes. There. Now, on top of that, forgive me, I did not make my own salsa. My hand's wet, give me grace. Okay, there it is. Jar of taco sauce. This is sweet or thick and chunky. Like me! Thick and chunky. I'm putting the sauce all over the top. Just giving that a little smear out. And shredded cheese. How do you like that? That's 2 recipes down already. And I want to put a fair amount of, the end of that bag, cheese on there. And when it's all done, I got a little bit of sour cream left from another recipe that I can throw on top. Now this goes in the oven. Oh, I'm going to pull out those last 2 pans I was working on. That'll be my reminders to not touch that one. Okay. There we go. 2 recipes down. Let's move to number 3. Okay. Number 3 is something I made for you before, but you may not have remembered it, so I'm going to do it again. I am going to make the sausage cheese biscuits. But what I'm going to do is make them really small, so that they're more bite size than the big breakfasty ones, you know, 2 of them's a meal kind of thing. So, there is my pan that I'm going to use. This is one of my favorite cast iron pans. This is the old cowboy platter. It's gate marked, those 2 little lines. That means that it's older than 1900. Okay. Now, I'm going to use a little bit of this shortening to put on the bottom. Just because I want the bottom oiled up a little bit before doing the bread on there. I'm telling you, the smell right now coming out of the oven with those meatballs is amazing. Okay. So, I'm going to have to run the dishwasher for just mixing bowls when I get all done. So what I've got in here is a 1.5 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. That's the dry ingredients going in. Okay? Now, did you remember what we did with our stick of butter last time we made biscuits? You have to cut the butter and put it in there. So what I'm going to do is get my stick of butter. I didn't get it out early because I want that butter cold in the refrigerator. Here goes my stick of butter. You want your butter cold when you're making biscuits. Some of you saw this trick before and liked it. So I put the butter, there it is. Put the butter on my cutting board. Can you see that? Butter on the cutting board. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit of my flour on top of the butter. And then I'm just going to use my pastry butter to cut the flour into the butter. I do this rather than trying to cut the butter up into little cubes and add the flour to it that way. This works really well that I can just chop, 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 and it's a whole lot faster. And really trying to hold the stick of butter with one hand while you're cutting it with a knife in the other hand is not really easy. I've never been in a greased pig contest, but it kind of reminds me that that's about the same thing, trying to grab something that wants to slip. And it defeats the cold butter going into your biscuits concept. Almost all chopped. Have you made the biscuits yet? Did anybody make my biscuits? Who made something? I made something last week and somebody in church told me the next day they made it. I was so excited. Somebody actually made one of my recipes. Oh, it was the tart. The tart, the cobbler. Whatever we want to call it. Okay, that's all mixed up small. I'm putting it in the flour. Okay. Now, so I've got all this mixed up here, and this is my dry ingredients and my butter. Now, what I'm also adding is some shredded cheese. So I have to go get my other bag of shredded cheese. Someday in my dream kitchen, I'll just mount cameras so you can see me at every angle while I cook. I'm still here. Still here. Okay. So, about a handful. Reach in the bag, grab about a handful. It's maybe a cup if you're really picky about measurements and all. Okay. Also, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of milk. And my sausage. It's about half a pound, half of one of those little tubby chubby things. Now we're going to mix all this together. You want to get the cheese and the sausage mixed in too, so that every bite has a little bit of everything in it. Now, if your dough is coming across a little bit on the dry side, just add a hint more milk to it, which I'm going to do. With the extra, the sausage in there and the cheese in there, oh my, I'm going low battery. Excuse me, folks. I don't want to lose you. I have to plug in my phone. It's dropping battery on me really fast. Please don't go anywhere. Please don't go anywhere. Please don't go anywhere. I'm plugging you in. There. All better. Okay. So, that is coming together like the biscuit should. And I saved my phone and plugged it in so we didn't lose our connection. Do you see how that's coming together? Okay. So there's no dry patches of flour in there anymore. Okay. So, again, I want to do these by the spoonful. And just roll them up a little bit on my platter. Okay. Like I say, not too big. The breakfast ones, I took this recipe and only made like 7 out of it, so that they were big. And for a while I was thinking I'd just make a batch every week on Saturday and we'd eat them throughout the week. Well, they weren't lasting very long. So I was like, oh no, this is too easy to eat them all up, so I haven't made them in a while. So this will be a nice surprise for somebody who really likes them when he gets home from work. I wonder if he's at lunch break and watching. There we go. These won't take as long as the meatballs did, that's for sure. And they're not as messy. So instead of 7 big ones out of this, yeah, I'll probably get 10, 12, 14 little ones. So about half the size of normal. And I tried to pick cast iron that would be pretty to serve it in. So I can just take this stuff out of the oven, put it on the table, and we eat. Not transferring everything to fancy dishes, you know. Because I roll that way. Okay, almost there. And then we can go on the next one. The next one is so easy, I couldn't believe it. Okay, I've got 2 more to go. Then we can move on to the next thing. And I'll show you how big these are. So the last 2 are big. I just want to be done with them. Because I'd rather talk to you. Okay. There we go. Let me wash. It makes me wish we had people that would watch, you know, that we watch sportsy things so I can make food like this more often. Maybe somebody will have me come to their house and cook for them while they watch their sportsy thing. I'd be willing to do that. That'd be fun. All they have to do is tell me when to yell, yay, or when to tell them, no, boo. I just don't know when to boo and say yay on things like that. Okay. Let me show you the platter. See? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Pretty good, so less than half of the big size. So that gives us more of a munch. Oof. I have to rearrange. My stove is getting full. Wow. Okay. Oh, you didn't hear me just burp when I was putting stuff in the oven, did you? Just that little one. It's okay. All right. How many of you ever gone out to a restaurant and gotten that wonderful warm artichoke dip? Me too. Loved it. Never thought about making it at home for a minute. And I was looking through this, what do you call them? Books of recipes. And I came across it. I'm like, that is so incredibly easy. I cannot believe it. So I wanted to make it for you. Okay. So, let me step over to the fridge for a moment. You are literally not going to believe how easy this is. I even looked up a whole bunch of other recipes for it online to see, is it really that easy? And it was. Okay. So, first thing we have, a cup of mayonnaise. I had no idea. 1 cup of mayonnaise. So if you're not a big fan of mayonnaise, you probably haven't been wanting to eat that artichoke dip. If you are a fan of mayonnaise, that's why you love it. Okay. So a cup of mayonnaise, a cup of Parmesan. The grated Parmesan like you put on top of your spaghetti or anything else. Look at that. 1 14-ounce can of artichoke hearts that have been all chopped up. And you dump those in there. Look at that. This is all special treat food. This isn't regular eating food, so just keep that in mind too. So we're just going to mix this up. In a bigger bowl if you're smart. There's really not, I mean there's not 3 ingredients. That's it. And I'm like, really? So I'm hoping the people eating it tonight don't catch that. Don't realize what this is before they try it. Stephen, if you're watching, I may need you to get crackers on the way home. Okay. So now I'm going to take this. What pen am I going to use? Okay. I pulled out a couple of small pans because I wasn't sure how much would fit. Get back in there. Okay. So it fit in 2 little pans like this. And then that just bakes in the oven, same temperature as the rest because I only have 1 oven, for about 15-20 minutes. So hopefully that'll be good timing with the other things. So So I gotta find room in my oven now. Hang in there. There, I'll turn it this way so it's not like you're watching dead camera for a minute, because that's boring. All right. So those are in there. The next dish, also an old favorite and very easy. You just wipe the flour and artichoke crud off my cutting board. It's not crud, I'm sorry. Oh, on our nachos, could have added some taco seasoning as well, which I forgot. Okay, the next one, and again, this is one of my favorites. I don't want to touch that with my hand. Y'all like caprese salads and stuff? Well, I have done it in big portobello mushrooms before that have been wonderful. And I thought, you know what? Bite-sized appetizer? I'll get just a little bag of the buttons. You know, of the portobellos, what do they call it? Baby bellows. Cremini, that's the word. Baby portobello mushrooms are creminis. That's the way I understand it. So, let's see if this pan is still a little bit warm. This is the one I just re-seasoned. But who doesn't like a little butter? Now, take my creminis that I've cleaned, and I took all the stems out because the stems went into my meatloaf. Don't waste anything. Okay, so I'm just putting all these in the bottom of my little frying pan. Okay. After I get these in here, there we go. Some of them are pretty tiny. I might just put a ball of mozzarella in that. And if that's what fits, okay. All right. Almost. I'll show you my pan here in a second. Because this is fitting perfectly, and I think it's going to come out wonderful. Still warm. Okay. Do you see the whole bottom of that is covered with the little cremini mushrooms? Okay. So now, in the refrigerator, I sliced in half a whole bunch of little grape tomatoes. Okay? In my other, I bought those little small mozzarella balls, and I've got them soaking in olive oil and basil. So the basil's already in there. So actually, after all the cheese melts all over the mushroom and the tomato, it's already got the basil in there. So I'll just drizzle it with a little balsamic, and we're all set. So, in the bigger ones, I can fit a whole half a mozzarella and tomato. So those are the ones that I'm doing first. These are going to be good. And they're so close together in this little pan that if the cheese runs over a little bit onto the next one, all the better. I can't wait to eat these. I'll show you after I get them all stuffed. I mean, it's just literally a tomato and mozzarella, and the tomato and mozzarella may run over and completely destroy some of these little things, but that's okay. It's all going to taste the same. So what I just figured out, if I take the half of mozzarella and put the half of tomato with it, then put it down into there, it fits a whole lot better than trying to put one on top of the other. Okay, now, some of these, like this little one, yeah, we're just putting a mozzarella in those because they won't fit a tomato and a mozzarella in them. And as a matter of fact, I'm breaking some of these little mozzarellas in half. Because even without the tomato, they're going to be good. There. Okay. A couple more bites. Oh, these are going to be good. Insanely good. All right. Y'all still with me? Okay. Hi, Sylvia. So now I'm going to put this pan in my really getting full oven. Oh my gosh. Fit. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Fit. Oh. Okay, just a minute. I have to layer things in the oven. Oh, that looks good. Oh, does that look good? I can't wait to eat that. Hurry. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. 7 pans. 7 cast iron pans of food in my oven right now. And that's all the pans going in the oven, which helps. Okay. Lid back on these and get them out of my way. Now, my last recipe. I have actually made this one before as well, but I had an expert, an Ebel Skivers, school me on how they can be done and how they should be done. Excuse me while I grab my Ebel skipper pan. Do you remember the Ebel skipper pan? Some people think it's a egg poacher, but you probably would not be able to get an egg out of there. It would fry them, it would not poach them. Okay. That's going to go on the pan on kind of a medium heat. I tend to get my pan too hot, and then I'm all messed up. Okay. So, the last time too, I made my Ebel skivers with an Ebel skiver mix. This time I'm making it homemade. I'm hoping that makes a difference. So, my dry ingredients are a cup of flour, a teaspoon of sugar, and a half teaspoon of baking powder. Powder, not soda. Okay? Now in that, okay, I'm going to mix this up a little bit because I want to make sure the baking powder is thoroughly mixed with the baking soda and the salt gets through there. Okay. Now, I'm going to add 2 egg yolks. Not the whites, just the yolk. So brave for doing this in front of you and trying not to screw it. I found the best way for me, I don't know what you use, the best way for me to separate is just using the shells. I've tried those little separators and everything, and it's really not that difficult just to break an egg and go back and forth with the white until you get just the yolk. I put a coffee can in my sink for garbage because it's less messy that way. Okay, so here again, separating the eggs from the whites. The yolks go into the flour mixture. Okay. Now I've got 2 tablespoons of softened butter It could be melted, but it'll mix up soft. And I want to put in 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And a little bit of lemon rind. So I'm going to rind my lemon. Don't rind the label on the lemon. Just get the lemon rind itself in there. It's going to taste so much better. So these are going to be a lemon and poppy seed apple skipper. Yeah, you're watching now, aren't you? So, I got my lemon zest in there. Now to get some lemon juice in there. Just a couple tablespoons. So I'm going to use like a half a lemon. It might be a little bit more, but who doesn't love lemon? And if I need extra, I got a bottle of lemon juice in the refrigerator. Okay, I'm going to mix this up. And I'm going to add 1 cup of milk. There we go. Can you believe this is our 6th recipe? And I don't know how long we've been doing this now. I've been too busy cooking to pay any attention to how long it takes. There. Now, there's 2 more things that are going to go in here. After I get this all beat up, and my butter is just pretty much dissolving in there and going away. I'm going to add some poppy seeds. And I know we got them. Here they are. There. Seeds of the poppy. I just have to remember that in case I get drug tested anytime soon. Okay, now where did I put that? Oh, it's right there. Okay. So, the last thing I have to do for this, my 2 egg whites, I have to beat my 2 egg whites to stiff peaks. Not real stiff and hard ones that are going to be dry, but just stick peaks so that they're up there and a little bit firm and very fluffy. So, I like this thing. Because really, beating 2 yolks is or 2 whites is not going to be easy. So how was your week? Good, glad to hear it. Mine too, yeah, worked a lot, got things done. Overall, it was very good. I've been looking forward to today and cooking and having people over. We don't know if we're just going to play a game or watch a movie or what. We just wanted a nice, relaxing evening. So I'm beating my whites. Whites, not wines. Whites. Here we go. There. What this is doing is just getting the whites beat up They're going to lighten up the batter, so it's not like a pancake batter. It'll be lighter than a pancake batter. Two whites don't go real far. Excuse me, 2 egg whites don't go real far. But they're getting there. I could have gotten out the hand blender and done this. Now they're really moving along. Seems like once you kind of catch them and get some air into them, then they start really moving on this. Again, it's not to beat them up so they're hard, stiff peaks, but you just want them up a bit. Yeah. So they're kind of glassy and firm now. Glassy, glossy, classy. They're classy little egg whites. Okay. I'm going to rinse that because I don't want to have to scrub dried egg whites off anything later. Okay. Now, I'm going to gently fold these in to my batter. And I can see how that's lightening up the batter. You don't want to stir it briskly, you want to fold it in so that you're not breaking down that egg white and you're keeping things light in there. And the nice thing about these poppy seed ones, when they're done, we're going to make a glaze to go over them. There. If this turns out half as good as I'm hoping it is. This was Stephen's request, by the way. I gave him my Evelskiver book and I said, pick one. And this is the one he picked. Alright. Okay, that's getting way too hot. Ooh, way too hot. So my pan needs to cool down just a hair. That's the challenge with Evelskivers, is you want the pan hot so they cook, but you don't want, you want the pan hot so that they cook, but you don't want to smoke them out and burn them. Okay? So I turn the heat down on that before I'm putting any batter in it. Oh, come on, don't fight me, don't fight me. How hard is it to get a little pastry brush? Okay. So. There. I'm going to give that just a minute to get the smoking down a little bit because I just turned the temperature way down on that. And I almost forgot to grab my wooden skewers. You want wooden skewers when you make the Evelskivers. Hi, Kelly! Alright. Still too hot. But a lot of that's just going to die down once I start getting these in there. Okay. So Evelskivers. Little round pancakes. You want them almost full, but not quite full. I made some new friends from Sweden and they showed me how to do this. I was very excited. They were making Evelskivers for us. Okay. And they said too, as a rule, the first batch never comes out right. So I'm comforted by that. While those are taking a minute, the the glaze that we're going to make for these, powdered sugar. So I'm just squeezing the rest of my lemon juice right onto that powdered sugar. And trying not to get any seeds in it. Oh, there we go. Yay. Welcome along with Conversation Starter. 10 comments so far. Yay! Hi, Judy. Okay. I'm going to mix this up. And if I need to, I'll go get my bag or my bottle of lemon juice out. Oh, no, this looks pretty good. Okay, let's turn out our apple skimmers with my little wooden skewers. Oh. Okay. My temperature is almost right. Like I say, these are going to be a little bit more cooked because the pan was just a little hot. Okay, and they'll just take another minute on that side. I'm going to put them in a bowl, and then when they're all done, I can put my sugary stuff over it. Yeah, there we go. See what that did? That's perfect. And that's what we're going to drizzle on top. And it's really easy to find the seeds if one did get in there. Go away. Off my fork. There we go. I know these are supposed to be little cocktail shrimp forky things, but they work with so many different things. It's really lemony, but it's also very sweet. That's good. All right. So I'm going to dump my little skivers in here. There we go. And we're going to take another chunk of butter in one of these and then spread it around. Pan's a much better temperature. Okay, good. And more batter. I think things will be ready to start coming out of the oven soon. As soon as I put these in here, I'm going to check the oven. I think I definitely like this, making my own batter, rather than trying to use somebody else's batter, because this is just coming out a whole lot better than the ones that I made with the batter. Let me see what's going on in the oven. Sorry, let me see what's going on in the oven. Because it smells so good in here. Look at the biscuits. Where's another hand? I want to show you these biscuits. Look at them. I'm going to turn them around and give them a couple more minutes. Oh. Well, there's our caprese mushrooms. I'm going to pull them out. And I think everything else is going to cook for a few more minutes. Now that the mushrooms are out now, though, I'm going to throw the balsamic on them. Just going to dribble a little bit across the top. And guess what? Some of them fell over and the cheese cooked out of them. And I don't care. They're going to taste wonderful. Food doesn't have to look perfect. It just has to be made with love. Hi, Wendy. Okay. I'm going to turn these apple skivers. Much better. This is the right temperature. I know it's hard to see. When I've looked online and taken lessons with apple skivers, if your pan's too hot and they start burning, then basically you're flipping them over once and you're done with them. With your pan at a lower temperature where they're just browning on the one side, then you get a chance to turn them 3 or 4 times. That's when they become more of a ball rather than just a flat pancake turned over. So at a lower temperature where it's starting to brown after a couple minutes, and then you get to turn them 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 times, and get that round ball that you're looking for. Oh yeah, these are, yeah, much better. Much better temperature. There. I'll see if I can pull this out and show you in a minute. My towels. Okay. So see here, instead of just flipping them over, I was able to kind of flip them all on their sides. Okay. Yay. Now I'm going to give them the final flip over to make sure all the batter on the inside is cooked. I'm only getting 3 turns on this. It's still a little warm, and actually all my dough is pretty much cooked. Which tells me the next time I have to turn them just a little bit sooner than I did. But no more distractions, I can do that. I can't wait to drizzle this. I'm going to put them on the ones that we got in there already. Okay, let me. My toothpick! Alright. I'm going to try one of the caprese mushrooms. This is still like fire hot. But can you see the mozzarella, the tomato, the dripping mushroom from the butter, and the balsamic is on there, and the basil. Something might happen to those before anybody else gets home. Just saying. I'll say I dropped them on the floor and the dogs ate them. They're so good. The cheese is melted enough on the tomato and everything. You just get that whole good caprese everything in there bite in one bite. It's wonderful. Okay, let's get out these. Look how they just fall out of the pan. That's wonderful. I'll do a little bit more butter. But I think we're pretty much pretty oiled up now in that pan. Yes, my dream kit would have 3 or 4 cameras and a production crew. But we don't have that. Here we go. I'm actually going to fill these up a little bit more too. Kind of fill the well to try to give me a little more batter to do all my flipping and turning with. frosting, the glaze that I made for this, is about 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar and roughly 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. Okay, there's that. All right. I'm going to give them just a minute and check on some more stuff in the oven. Biscuits are definitely coming up. They are browned up nicely. That is going to sit over here, and I'm going to give those new ones a drizzle. I definitely want to give them a drizzle when they're warm. There we go. Now, let's give these a turn, and we'll see what else is happening in the oven. Yes, this is what I wanted. The outside of it has just a little bit of brown, a little done to it, but the inside is still real. So I'm going to be able to get the full spherical shape we desire. There. That's what they're supposed to do. I wish you could see better, but they're coming along. Let's see. Hot biscuit, hot biscuit, hot biscuit, hot biscuit. So these the bottoms of these biscuits are they're gold and they're nice. Okay, now that side's a little darker, but oh, they're just really hot because they just came out of a hot oven. Good. Very good. Before they get here. Those are wonderful. All right. I'm going to give my apple skivers another turn. Here we go. There. There. That's 3 turns. We're definitely going to get a 4th on these, which is what they want you to do. Get at least 4 turns in it. Let's see what's happening in the oven. Ooh. You know what that is? That's the artichoke dip. The other one had a little more in it, so I'm going to leave that pan in for a few minutes. Ooh, there's my meatballs. Those are looking good, and I got no place to put them. My potato nachos. Look at those. I'm actually at this point just going to turn my oven off because I don't have enough space to take everything out at the same time. But we'll try a couple more things in a minute. Okay. The last turn. There we go. These are much rounder than the other ones. Here. When you've got the temperature right, I mean, these are lemon poppy, they got enough flavor to them. But when you get the temperature right and you're getting in that 3 or 4 turns, you can very easily drop a great big Hershey Kiss on the middle of them. And then you've got the chocolatey goodness in there. We're going to have one more batch of those in a minute. I'm trying to make some room so you can see everything. That's just a hot pan that doesn't belong here right now. This back. Oh, that's hot. Yep, that's real hot. So I got the mushrooms, the biscuits, one of the dips. Get, I think I can get the meatballs out now. Looking good, aren't they? So, put them on top of each other. They'll be able to go into a single pan soon. And then I'm just going to take some barbecue sauce and maybe some Worcestershire sauce, whip that up and pour those over those to kind of glaze them. All right. There's those apple skippers. Can you see how round these are now? Okay, much bigger, much rounder. A little bit more of the lemon glaze. And this is the last batch. I know this was a longer show today, but look at all this food I just made. Had all my prepping done and everything ready to go. And it all went so well. All right. Move that over. Once I'm done with the rest of my apple skivers, then I pull the rest of the food out of the oven and taste it. It's nothing that I can taste right out of the oven because it's hot food. I will indulge in an apple. This is poppy seed and lemon. It's so good. The lemon really comes out between the lemon in the batter and the lemon in the glaze. So good. Mushrooms and biscuits are wonderful. It's going to take me a few minutes and some space to glaze the mushrooms. And then the potato nachos will come out. And that's going to be a cut and serve thing. It's not going to work necessarily as a finger food. If I'd stacked them all up maybe. I don't know. It's one of those things I'll play with some more. But some sour cream on. Wonderful. Thanks for joining me. I hope you can make some of these recipes and enjoy cooking yourself. Enjoy that sportsy thing coming up. From my kitchen to yours, thanks for joining me.